Hello and welcome, it's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com. In this video, I want to cover Stamina vs Magicka and give you some ideas on what to expect in Update 7 Imperial City. The purpose of this video is to give you some ideas on how the new changes will shape the landscape of PvP and PvE. Through everything is subject to change because this is in testing phase. So without further ado, let's talk about Magic vs Stamina and what you can expect in future updates. Alright, so we're in the Imperial City and I want to take some time out to talk about Magic specifically. What are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and what's changed since Update 7? Okay, so if you don't know Magic basics here, Magic gets its recovery through light armor. These passives allow you to cast with reduced magic cost, more recovery. So if you're a light armor user, you can have advantages using Magic. That's where you get most of your damage from. The 5-piece gives you more spell critical. The thing about Magic, the first major downside is the 5-piece doesn't offer you spell power, but critical. That same amount of critical you can get in the medium armor build. So that's obviously one downside. But the really good things about Magic are the self-healing. So you can, every class, I'm on my Templar for instance, and one ability here, Puncturing Sweeps, does damage and also heals me for 40%. Almost every class has something like this. Take a Nightblade, for instance, they have Swallow Soul. Take a Sork, for instance, Crystal Frags with an 8% health return. Dragon Knights have Battle Roar. Almost every single class has at least one magic that gives you self-healing. That's great for PvP because you need to be able to self-heal, sustain yourself in combat, whether you're fighting in a group, solo, or whatever. But you don't necessarily need all of that fighting in the PvE. Why? Because it's a controlled instance. So strong point for Magic, self-heals right there. Another thing is that, as another good one, is that Magic doesn't have to use their stamina pool for movement or their abilities. So with the dodge rolling change to stamina, you get an increased cost every time you dodge roll within 4 seconds. That is a huge nerf to stamina in PvP, the way I feel. Because Magic doesn't have to use that to get out and make distance. You can just self-heal through things. The next thing that are really, really powerful for Magic builds is the access to wards and damage shields in PvP. So these were pretty effective in Update 6, but they have become immensely effective, especially Healing Ward, which everyone has access to with the Restoration staff, making Magic my go-to builds in PvP in the future, where it used to be Stamina. Also, you have a lot more magic due to Enter a Light. So this ability here, for those that don't know, gives you 5% more max stat. Stamina doesn't have anything like that for max stat. It does have more weapon power, but that's the good things about Magic. The bad things is there's less damage. Reason being, if you go into armor here and you look at the medium armor, this thing right here increases your weapon damage by, let's put 2 points into it, 12%. You don't add that on the Magic side of the house. Now, they do add a spell damage Mundus Stone, which is a major, major positive change. But this right here allows stamina users to get more pure damage. Another thing that you don't have is you don't have the Evil Hunter proccing left, right, and center off almost all of your abilities. This is going to be huge in Update 7. Why? Because everything is Daedra. That's going to make a huge difference to stamina users. Also, your gear, I don't think the gear is very, very optimized for pure Magic-based users for DPS. Healing, yes. Tanking, yes. But for pure DPS, I can't reach 4,500 spell damage like I can on my Stamina Imperial Stamplar. And then lastly is AoE. They don't have near the AoE that Dual Wield does with good old Steel Tornado. I haven't even unlocked. I don't even have it unlocked. So if I use my Blazing Spear here, that's an 8-meter radius, that's considered my best AoE, it's nothing in comparison to running Camo Hunter and doing Steel Tornado. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Magic seems like the go-to setup for PvP. I could be wrong. It's still in testing, but from what I've experienced, I feel like a walking juggernaut, even in light armor, due to the ward changes, due to my resource management, and due to self-healing. But don't worry, Stamina users, we got something in store for you. Let's talk about Stamina next. Right, so I'm on my Imperial Stamplar, Big Jake, and I want to explain some of the stamina benefits and downsides as I see it in Update 6. So we talked a little bit about the downsides and the upsides. One is the new stamina dodge rolling change really hurts stamina builds in PvP. Why? Because that elude chance from dodging was so important to stay alive because you don't have the self-heals that you would in a Magic. But luckily, they made a nice change to an Alliance War ability called Vigor. Instead of being Alliance Rank War 10, it's now in 5, and it's very, very easy to get. This is a powerful stamina self-heal and also heals nearby allies as well, and it's based off your max stamina. This is a powerful, powerful self-heal. So now all those Nightblades that weren't Alliance Rank 10 have something, some way to heal themselves along with Rally, giving stamina a bit of a boost in the self-healing department. That's powerful. So the most powerful thing I think about medium armor is the builds here, which is all these powerful little passives. Something that Magic doesn't have is increasing the amount of critical by each piece of armor. So you can actually get more weapon critical than you could spell critical just by having more of this on. So if you run a 7-piece of medium armor, you end up with more. Another good thing is the weapon damage by 12%. So for instance, on an Imperial unbuffed, I'm sitting at 3,300 weapon damage, not even using the rally. That is remarkable. Almost 1,000 more weapon damage than my spell power build Omega. It's truly incredible. So that's another thing that you got. Another really powerful change is Camo Hunter. Camo Hunter, you can activate this and it does magic damage to undead. This procs off of weapon abilities. So when you're weaving in light and heavy attacks, or if you're using some specific abilities like Quick Cloak, Steel Tornado, this thing hits like a Mack truck. And especially since all of the new content is Daedra and Undead, giving huge advantage. Not to mention this is your weapon critical buff right here. Okay, moving right along with that. Something else not a lot of people are talking about, but it's the change to Silver Bolt, Silver Leash. So people don't use this morph, right? But it's essentially a pull, a chains that every class has access to. Right now, Dragon Knight tanks are considered the best for very many reasons, but one of them is extended chains, being able to pull someone to you. Now everyone has access to this. It's a morph that not a lot of people are taking, but I'm thinking there's going to be a lot more stamina-based tanks simply because you're going to need stamina, a big pool to block now that there's no stamina regeneration. Okay, another thing is resources. So with a Stamplar here, you have something that Magic doesn't have, which is Repentance. Essentially using corpses to get back health and stamina. Now Magic does have something in Undaunted here, Necrotic Orb, but it's not nearly as effective as Repentance. Another thing you have is good old Spear Shards. We're going to go with Luminous here. Luminous Spear gives you 25% of your stamina pool, plus stamina and magic over time. This makes stamina PvE utterly amazing. Essentially, on-demand resources, using corpses, using synergies, and having a pocket healer. I'm telling you right now, PvE stamina is looking very, very strong. Downside, we talked about a lack of self-healing. We talked about using resources for CC breaking and squishy. Being a little squishy because you don't have the burst self-healing like you do. But I think stamina is in a good place in PvE. I think it's pretty significantly weakened in PvP, but if you're looking for doing just PvE damage dealing content, you can't go wrong. Also, I think a lot of tanks are going to switch to stamina based off using Silver Leash and some other abilities. Stamina is still strong. So I want to make some early prediction on what I think is going to be the best and worst classes. So people thought Sork's got a nerf, huh? Not so fast. I still see this as the primary class in PvP. You are now a walking juggernaut, even like you weren't before with your wards. The attention to nerf wards has actually backfired tremendously, making Sorks a walking juggernaut. Another thing about the Sorks that I think is going to be super powerful, if it sticks, the Molag Keenan set. The set that just came out. 3 light attacks procs about 600 spell damage. If that sticks, You're going to see all light armor sorcerers using that 2-piece set with power overload one-shotting people. Mark it down. You will see that build, and I plan on using Frag Out to do just that. If you don't change those right now, Zos, Sorks will be so dominant in PvP, people will be re-rolling high elves left and right. So that's my early prediction on PvP. What about PvE? Don't know what this is yet. Well, you're going to see a whole lot of it in PvE. I think right now is the time for the Stamplars to rise up. Yes, Stamplars. Imperial Stamplar, I think, is going to be the most dominant PvE DPS class we've seen in a long time. Reason being, it shines with the Ravager gear. The Ravager has been nerfed for pretty much all their classes except Stamplar, because biting jabs will still proc it, and so will medium weave. Essentially, you can run Valken Scoria, Ravager, and Hunting's Rage, or you can do Master Daggers, making the Stamina Templar have so much weapon power, it is incredible. Plus, it's easy to play. You're literally keeping up about 2 buffs, spamming one button over and over and over. So, early predictions. You know, sometimes predictions are good, sometimes they're bad. A lot of things can change in the middle of PTS testing and updating. Stamp Templar PvE, High Elf Sorcerer for PvP. I'm saying it right now, they will be juggernauts. I hope everyone got something out of this video because I want people to play what they want to play. People constantly ask me, Deltia, will High Elf work as a Stamina Sork? Well, the answer is yes. Will it work at the absolute best? Maybe not. Play what you want to play. You can make it work. There were people playing Stamina when it wasn't popular. There are people playing Magic when it wasn't popular, still making it work. The idea is to center your race on what's most important to you and ask yourself, what is most important to you? Is it to be the best DPS in the game? Is it to have fun? Is it to roleplay? Making those decisions when you make a character early on will determine just how much fun you have and why. So hopefully you got what the future holds for Stamina or Magicka, and you can make the changes that you need to now so you can enjoy the game when Update 7 launches. Hey, I've been wrong before, and I may be wrong again, but through this early testing, it seems like a logical choice where the game's headed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to be working on those builds for those predictions, so that way Update 7 launches, we'll have something ready to go.